Hello and welcome back to the Regimentals YouTube channel. Firstly, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, especially to all of our customers who have been buying off of our website all year round. Today's video is just going to be about one specific item. It's going to be quite a short video, but this item is a very special item that I've been chasing, but my father has been chasing or known about for almost 40 years. So it's worthy of doing a video just about this one item. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm first of all going to show you a picture of what the item is. As you can see, it's a piece of insignia with the Union Jack on it. Okay, and what this item is a foreign volunteer arm sleeve for a very rare unit within the German army called the British Freikorps. So if I'm going to give you a brief history about what the British Freikorps were or what they are, and then I'll go on to talk about specifically this piece of insignia. So during the war, around about 1943, there was a British politician, a famous person from a British political family called John Amory, also known as Lord Haw Haw, and he was campaigning for a unit of German soldiers who were recruited from prisoner of war camps, being a legion of British soldiers. Now these British men or British prisoners, the overall purpose of them fighting during the war would have been to fight against the Bolsheviks on the Russian front. The thought wasn't to be utilised to fight against British people. Lord Haw Haw or Amory, who was obviously a traitor and hanged for his crimes in 1945, his idea was that he could recruit men to fight for the Germans, and their aim was really against what they call Jewry. It wasn't really anti-British, it was pro-British, but the thoughts behind the campaign were why was British blood being spilt in the aim of Jewry. Obviously the nature of the subject is very controversial, very sensitive subject. In 1943, the thoughts of this group was formulated, but nothing really came to fruition until, I think it was October, November 1944. It was in 1944 that we started to see uniforms or insignia related to the British Freikorps. When the British Freikorps was first thought of, they wanted to call it the British Legion, but of course there was already a British Legion, much like the American Legion, so they had to think up a new name, and that's how they came up with the British Freikorps. In my experience in militaria, I've never seen what I consider to be a real British Freikorps cuff title, a British Freikorps collar patch, or a British Freikorps arm badge. I've seen copies around, mostly obvious copies, and there's a lot of mythology, or people say that they never really existed, so it's a grey area within militaria. There's a very good book by David Littlejohn. He done a whole series of books on the foreign legions of the Third Reich, and in I think it's volume 2, he speaks about the British Freikorps in there. Lots of interesting pictures. There is one very famous picture of 2 SS officers wearing the British Union Jack on their left forearm. People over the years have declared this photograph to be a fake photograph that's been produced in the 1950s. So really there is no known photographic evidence of this legion. Obviously there's the collar patch being worn on an SS man with the 3 lions on it, obviously the 3 lions of St. George. But we do know that this legion was created, we do know they existed. There's thought that there was possibly 1,500 men recruited into the British Freikorps. I think there is only about 70 names that have ever been released of those soldiers who were recruited, and also it's worth mentioning that almost all of those people recruited used fake names or pseudonyms, so there's very little reference or history to go by. But what I can tell you is during the 1960s, my father and many other British collectors visited a collector in the United States called Dave Dulwich. He was the world's most prolific SS insignia collector, and he unfortunately passed away in the last few years, and his collection has been sold in auction. And we have managed to obtain this very rare piece of insignia from the Dave Dulwich collection. My father visited him in the I think it was in the 70s, and he saw this piece of insignia in his collection and tried to buy it from him in the 1970s, but of course it wasn't for sale. He was very active in his collecting. He was traveling around Europe buying items, and he informed us that he purchased this piece of insignia in the early 1960s in Germany. It's the only one that's ever been seen. It's the printed version, identical to the cloth that's used on all the other printed Foreign Legion patches. Very high quality, even though it is obviously very late war, 1944. Interestingly, it has England written across the top, which is unusual because it was the British Freikorps. And this item is going onto our website on the Christmas Eve update. We update the website on Christmas Eve. It will be in the afternoon in the UK, so early morning in most parts of the United States. And this will be the star piece of the update. Extremely rare, extremely exclusive. I think it's going to be on the website for £3,500. But it is really, for British collectors, a very iconic piece, which is really and truly, the British Freikorps were like the first idea of any kind of national front movement now in the UK. That's why I'm sort of stressing how sensitive this piece of insignia is. Obviously, we only ever sell items on our website for historical purposes, and in our opinion, although sensitive and controversial, it is a very important piece of history for the Third Reich, and of course British militaria as well. Really rare piece. On our website for the update, there's going to be lots of other pieces. We try and always make a bit of a special effort around Christmas time to do the update. We won't be processing orders from the update until the new year. We will be working between Christmas and New Year, but most orders won't be sent out until the new year. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and Merry Christmas.